yeah, for anybody that hasn't been on, or this is your first day jumping on this week, I'm Tech Sergeant Reed, out of the 342nd Recruiting Squadron, OA, Officer of Sessions. I'm here with, myself, Tech Sergeant Mitchell, who's also, assigned here in my flight, 342nd OA, and then Master Sergeant Prouty and Tech Sergeant Jones. But, again, for those of you that haven't been here, so far this week, we've been doing this since Monday, but basically having NCOs from multiple tier 2 positions. So Monday we had officer sessions. Tuesday we had MEPS and ops. And then yesterday, training and marketing. But just kind of going through and talking about some of the day-to-day stuff, maybe some of the things that we don't see, if we're not in those positions, or definitely some of the things that, as EA recruiters, we don't see, some of those things behind the scene. And this all in an effort, to educate you, or to give you a little bit more insight as you get ready to go and list some jobs on your MOI. So today we have special warfare with Sergeant Hildreth, Sergeant Spencer, and Sergeant Rosa. And they're going to kind of go into, hopefully they can speak to a little bit about the selection process, some of the ins and outs, maybe dispel some misconceptions and things like that. But I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Sergeant Hildreth and, kind of just work down from there. So Sergeant Hildreth, it's all yours.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. So we talked to the group, and we kind of discussed that we'll kind of highlight the reason why the 330th even stood up in the first place. So the Air Force realized that we had a problem with just sending a mass amount of people just down to basic training. They would take past tests, but we just copied the exact same process as the Navy, and we're like, all right, what do you guys do? And we took what they did and actually just made it better. And what we did, and to help people, to let them understand, so we're like, the Navy has a special warfare program. So we took that and we said, all right, we're going to dedicate just special warfare recruiters to make sure that we develop and inspire and engage. And so we took a lot of the development piece. So we have developers, and developers are people that have actually done the job, lived it, taught it. To do that position, you have to have some type of experience. So just a heads up that it's not like a normal EA type of a job. So like you might only have 4 or 5 people in your depth, whereas like in EA, you're always just pumping out bodies. So it's more about the quality you have over the quantity. But the most common questions I get is like, well, I'm not that guy. I don't know, or gal, and I don't know if I'd be a good fit for special warfare. We do go through some of the training so we can kind of embody that warrior mindset, and then we kind of go through the process. But if you don't swim, they're not going to make you swim, and things like that. So lots of times that was a very misleading. People can get a little anxiety about it, so that's not really the case. But at the exact same time, they do put us in the mud pit. We'll go watch how water confidence works. The reason why they do that though is they'll make you more confident, and so you know what you're talking about going through the process. So Sergeant Spencer, if you want to elaborate kind of on that, and then Sergeant Rosa, and then we'll just kind of bounce back and forth, because each of us have a different type of experience. The bonus is that all of us have been from the beginning. So in 2018, so I had like the smallest, zone, and then I went to like one of the largest zones in the squadron. So I've felt both type of experiences. So if anybody has any questions about that, I'm here to answer any type of questions anybody might have.
Okay. Hey, for everyone who has questions, please continue to put them using the chat feature, and then at the end we'll go through and actually start answering them. For me, thank you, Sergeant Hildreth. I'm Cameron Spencer, Technical Sergeant. I'm a Special Warfare Recruiter in Tampa, Florida. So I cover almost pretty much the entire west coast of Florida right now, except Pensacola right there at the Panhandle. A little bit about myself first. I did my Tier 1. I started recruiting in 2015, and I did my Tier 1 in Albany, New York, actually, right in upstate, right in the capital, and very, very small zone. There was no military base nearby. And then in 2017 is actually when we, 17, 18, 19, 20, yeah. 2017 is when the 330th stood up. And I want to expound a bit on what Sergeant Hildreth said. You know, as an EA recruiter, you're responsible for knowing what 140 or 150 different career fields. And we all know the recruits think that we get quizzed on these career fields during recruiting school. And we know that's not the case. We all kind of learn these jobs from what? YouTube videos and reading those pamphlets when there's no students. I mean, no recruits sitting across from you, right? So the problem with that is these special warfare career fields, I mean, there's so many facets to it, right? So that's why they created us as well. They wanted us to be focused on knowing just about 6 career fields: special warfare and combat support. You take SEER, for example. We had a lot of people who were quitting. The majority of people were quitting that pipeline because their recruiters told them, yeah, you're going to be shooting people and running through the woods. And then they show up to the pipeline. They're like, dude or dudette, you're an instructor. No one told you that? Oh, no, because the recruiter didn't know. So that also added to the attrition rates with these career fields. So we wanted subject matter experts in these careers. So Sergeant Hildreth said the differences when it comes to our delayed entry program, or we call it our special warfare development. It does vary wildly from EA. In EA, I went from a small zone to a very busy zone. And that has something to do with how special warfare locates its people, which we'll talk about later. But when you have 30, 35, 40 people in your EA dep, you're having that one dep call a month, you're probably only seeing your people 2, 3, maybe 4 times before they ship. Take it to me, we have a ship date coming up in November. On average, I've spoken to each one of these candidates almost every single day for 4 to 5 months. And I've had workouts with them every single week for 4 to 5 months, sometimes twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. So you can imagine the type of different relationship that you have with these candidates versus the one that you have time for being EA. So when you're dep management, I would say as EA, 95% of my time was case files and dealing with MEPs and trying to dodge rows, and 5% a dep call. Whereas it's the flip side here, I find, where 5% is the MEPs part because you already have all that down, right? You're a seasoned recruiter by that point. And 95% of it is, how can I get this person to pass the physical ability and stamina test and to ship off and to keep them motivated that entire time? Because we're not gold in special warfare recruiting on how many people you just got through MEPs. That's not gonna put people in boots and those boots to berets. We get gold on how many people we can get to pass the physical ability and stamina test. So that requires you designing your own fitness program and being really hands-on with the mental part of it. For me, that's what I loved about recruiting in EA. I hated the MEPS part. I despise that part. But what kept me going was my monthly dep calls. It was just fun. I got the chance to mentor, and for special warfare, 95% of your job is motivating and mentoring these young folks. So that's a little bit about me and my quick spiel about the 330th and being a special warfare recruiter. Sergeant Rosa, what do you got?
I don't really have anything extra to add, but a little bit about myself. Been in 12 years, originally a firefighter, got picked up for recruiting, Started recruiting in 2015. Started as an EA recruiter out of Tucson, Arizona, and then got picked up for the 330th in 2017. My first year as a special warfare recruiter, I started in Tucson, and then I PCS to Miami. So I actually right now I cover South Florida, Puerto Rico, and Virgin Islands. Just to piggyback on what Sergeant Spencer was saying, the part I love most about this job is the flexibility to, kind of be creative on how you want to recruit. And then the other fact is we have the opportunity to do the fun stuff, right? I remember in EA, depending on what office you come from, right, or your zone, you may be so overwhelmed with case files and applicants walking in that you don't really have to have the chance to actually go out there and really recruit. So that's the cool thing about special warfare, at least for my zone, right? That I get to engage with my applicants and my candidates a lot more than as an EA. And the EA, it was only dep calls, and every now and then, you'll do follow-ups with them. But definitely a fun job. I definitely recommend it if you like to be out and about, right? If you like to be out and about, you want to, you like to go to, I'm one of the rare guys that I actually like to go to schools. I like to do presentations. I like to work out with the guys, so if you're that type of person and you want to go out and about and you want to have that interaction with these candidates, and it's rewarding at the end of the day when these guys call you and, from either tech school or after they graduate basic, or when they actually get their berets and graduate the schoolhouse, it's rewarding. So, but yeah, that's all I have right now.
I would like to kind of talk about a little bit how we are gold. So we are gold quarterly, and we're gold by like a flight. And then the flight chief will give out like targets for us. So it used to be like everybody would go ahead and you could accept anybody that wants to be in the program. Well, they got kind of rid of that, and now there's like thresholds. You have to meet these type of requirements to be even added into development, because people would have huge depths, but they'd never ship. So they corrected that, which I think is a positive thing. Another thing is so in EA, you're always kind of stressed about trying to get your people across the floor during, within that 1 month. Whereas us, we have the flexibility of, 3 months. So
no more stressful Tuesdays.
Yeah.
No more stressful Tuesday mornings.
And the other bonus is like we know when our ship dates are also, so we plan everything and we can be like, all right, you will ship this date, but you got to execute and pass this test by this time. So that's helpful too. So it might be stressful for that one ship date, but for SWOE, we only have 5 ship dates per year. So like for silver badge, if you only can get silver badge if your whole flight gets silver badge too. So that's another difference. Just kind of a unique situation. I think it builds more of a team environment instead of like an individual type environment. It's like, hey, we're going to do this as a team, because that's the end goal, is to actually get people that get berets on. And I 100% agree with you. It's super rewarding. The highlight of my Air Force career was being part of the 330th, just knowing that what I contributed could actually change the course of history at one point in time. Like, that's just powerful stuff. Like I always say, these things we do that others may live, I take that PJ motto and I just apply it in recruiting. I wish the Air Force would just take that motto and be like, this is us. This is us on paper.
Hey, Sergeant Hildreth, you said a big perk that I don't want to just run past it. Those Tuesdays, I remember, honestly, I described to a lot of people about doing a tier 2 job as almost like a congratulation or a prize for making it through your tier 1. And I guess it depends on how bad your tier 1, how tough your tier 1 was. But this feels like a big like prize for me. I remember and still have a little bit of PTSD if I do get some random texts on Tuesdays. I remember every single Tuesday just having that, oh no, who is it? And my buddy out here, who I did tier 1 with, he works at MEPS now. And sometimes he'll mess with me and will call me on a Tuesday morning. And I'm like, bro, you know, you can't do that. I'm still recovering. But other than that, one, that's a big perk. We only have 5 shift days a year. The relationship you have with these candidates is so much. Hey, go ahead and take over, Sergeant Rosa.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think one of the things I like to add is the quality of the applicant we deal with. You know, in EA, you know, you have all these different personalities, different types of applicants joining for different reasons, right? At the end of the day, they're making that decision, right, to join, and it's a big decision. But there is a lot of babysitting, a lot of you know, you have different people joining for different reasons. With special warfare, these candidates, man, they're not too worried about the benefits. They're not too worried about you know, I don't know, just minimal things, right? They want to join for the right reasons, right? I mean, and that may be different for everybody. Everybody's perspective is different. But I like that part where, you know, the guys that I put in, the guys and girls, they're willing to put in hard work every day, right? Either to better themselves, to get fit, and to just prepare. One thing I remember, I went to I think it was NCOA last year, and one of the TIs told me, hey, he loves when the special warfare candidates come in, because they already kind of like, they learn quick, and they end up, you know, it's like driving I don't know, a pretty cool car, right? Where they don't have a lot of issues with them going to basic training, because they kind of adapt, and they're already kind of structured. So that's the quality we're putting in. And like, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a firefighter. I wish, you know, firefighters, cops, a lot of other career fields could get a taste of a lot of what these career fields get to do, you know, in regards to developing and just that motivation, that team concept. But that's the fun part. You got anything else?
So we do
Yeah,
have
so-
a couple of questions. The first one, let's see, what are your favorite and most productive places to find quality applicants for SW?
For me, it's perpetuation. So basically, I like to say that it's like you're trying to find an alpha, and once you find an alpha, it's contagious, because then all these guys or girls, they hang out together, and they're always pushing themselves to the next level, and that's really what you want. Because if you get a couple alphas, they're going to drag the team along, and it just makes everybody better. So for me, One's Ready, SOCOM Athlete, those are like putting us on the map, because special warfare, and especially in the Air Force, it's, you know, quiet professionals. That's what they're labeled as. And so they don't really like talking about what they do and what they have accomplished. It's really actually hard to pull information out of individuals. But you know, with the exposure that we're starting to get with 330th coming up, and the marketing and everything else, and we are telling their stories, it just highlights us. So, and what I mean by us is the special warfare mission. So that for me is the number one thing. Like, people say, oh, I'll go to gyms and stuff. I was like, that's great, but if you can get like-minded individuals working to one common goal, then that's where your money's going to be. But my experience could be different from others, though.
Sergeant Rosa, I think you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Thanks. I agree with Sergeant Hildress. It really comes down to the team part, right? Initially, they would, when we first started up the 330th, they would tell us, hey, hit these colleges or hit these gyms, right? And yeah, we'll go there, but I mean, it's not like you're gonna get, a bunch of leads out of there. That's the reality. It really starts with the people that are interested already, right? And you start building your team. So what I usually do is, when I started, I'll have 2 or 3 guys, and then, I'll start inviting people to my workouts, right? And no matter how they looked, right? I mean, you get it all the time. You get that, that overweight person that tries to walk in the office, and, back in EA, a lot of people would teach you, hey, just, check them at the door. But for us, a guy that wants to do something, that wants to do special warfare, to me, that's the biggest part. I don't care how they're at, physically or where they're at. I just want to get that interest, right? Another way too is, it really happens with 2 factors is I don't take no for an answer, right? Because a lot of people assume they think, special warfare is they have these assumptions. And what I do is I plant that seed. I send them videos, I send them information. I'll be like, hey man, there's no commitment, but here's some info. I'll follow up with you later, another day or 2 or so. And so then they actually get interested, and I'll invite them to a workout, and there's no commitment to the workout. So that's kind of how I build my team, and how I find people is, once they start meeting all the other team members, then they get motivated and want to work out. Because a lot of these guys and girls, they're all about the team camaraderie. They want to feel part of something. So an example will be, the Marines, right? How you think the Marines do well recruiting? They bring their guys all the time. They're always working out with them, right? They keep them motivated, so that's kind of like similar concept of how I do things.
So that's some really awesome insight so far, because and I think a big reason why this is really important is because right now, excuse me, there might be and I don't know if anybody's even kind of taking this into consideration, but for those recruiters that are on EA right now, they don't have any experience with recruiting spec warfare, because this turned 330th stood up when 2018, right? So for example, Sergeant Solano, I don't know if Sergeant Solano's still on the line. Let me look here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Hey, you're fairly new to recruiting service. Did you ever recruit spec warfare?
Negative. No.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
And so you're in a tier 2 position now, but you never had to recruit spec warfare. So this kind of insight is really important. Now, the question that I have is, as far as like TDYs go, because like the zone is so big for spec warfare, it's kind of similar to officer sessions where we have a really large AOR. For an EA recruiter, it may be a little difficult to envision, the size of that type of AOR, because, everything for an EA recruiter is local. So as far as like depth calls and what y'all are talking about with, because I can remember recruiting when, back when it was Battlefield Airmen, us just trying to round everybody up. And, it was basically us just saying, hey guys, here's the pass test requirement. The next pass test is on this day, so just make sure you're ready. But as far as, for spec warfare and the involvement that y'all have, what type, logistically, what does that look like? Because your zone is so large, as far as like, do you go TDY? Do you, organize workouts in different places? And then what is that, what impact does that have on your time management as a recruiter?
Yeah, I'll take that one. I get what you're saying. You got big zones. How do you make it work? It is very different, but that's what's actually great about it. Everyone has different motivations, right? Your flight mates all have different motivations, and flight chiefs should know that. My motivation has always been autonomy, right? I've always strived to be the best at my job, and I would always make a deal early with my flight chief when they were new. Like, hey, I'm going to be the best at this, so you don't really have to mess with me. And in special warfare recruiting, we're so separated. My boss is about like two hours away from me. It's naturally, I think, like any tier 2 job, there's a lot more autonomy to it. But for me, and this is going to vary widely, our squadron literally covers the entire United States and the world. We have people in Europe and in Guam and Hawaii and stuff as well. But so for me, I have weekly workouts every single week, right? Every Thursday morning, that's here in Tampa. So I have some people who drive an hour and a half, 2 hours every week because they just want to work out and be a part of this program. But I also, when I got here, we only had my area in Tampa. And as I started to expand out to other parts of my zones, TDYs were easy. I just told my boss, hey, I need to go in this part of my zone. Okay, cool. Put it in DTS. Book a hotel, stay in the an hours away part of my zone for 3 days. 1 day to meet all the EA recruiters, second day to zone prospect, third day to hold any appointments that I set up beforehand. And then from there, once I built up those other areas of my zones, I said, hey, I need new training facilities. So they're like, okay, cool, set up a new training facility. So we get with our field developers, those are those operators, our coaches, and we tell them, hey, I want a new gym in this part of my zone. He does all the contractual stuff between the Air Force and the gym, and boom, you have a new training location. So that again is, and I'd love to hear from Sergeant Hildreth. Actually, all three of us are going to have unique things because Sergeant Hildreth probably has a way bigger zone than I. And Sergeant Rosa, you want to go next? Because, I mean, you fly to Puerto Rico and you have the Virgin Islands, which you better not complain about. That's a, tell them how you work that out.
Awesome. Yeah. So similar to Sergeant Spencer, I do workouts Mondays and Fridays here in Miami. So Miami, in reality, Miami is a huge city, but it's really not that far, at least big and location wise. Right. So most of my guys are within an hour or so. I may have a few people that may be a little bit farther. But they'll make it. They'll make it. They travel if they want it. It goes back to what I said earlier. If these people really want it, they're going to make it, right? Because they know these workouts are they're either letting down the team or letting themselves down or whatever it is. Now I do cover Key West, but Key West is not as large as at least the main area of South Florida, and then Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico, it's another beast in itself. Right now, I was traveling every month until Corona hit. So when COVID came out, we started doing virtual development. So what happens with virtual development is they'll send me a pass test. They'll record their pull-ups, sit-ups, push-ups, all that stuff, and they'll send it to me. We'll count it out, and then I'll forward it to the developer, and then they either have a passing or a fail. But with the 330th, the cool part of the 330th is a lot of these workout plans, a lot of this stuff is online. There's stuff we can send them, and if they're really dedicated, they're going to put in that work. In Puerto Rico, I have a really good relationship with the EA recruiters over there. So they always help me out. They'll do a lot of the processing, a lot of that stuff. And then when I go down there, these guys are ready to go. Ready to get developed and take a test. I do have one kid in the Virgin Islands. I just haven't been there yet. Still trying to hit the Virgin Islands. But yeah, I mean, it's a mixture. Definitely, I have good support from EA, at least in my zone here in Miami and Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. So they're always open to help out, and and I'm trying to help them out too at the same time.
All right, so something came up that I'd like to talk about. So you talked about battlefield airmen. So the reason why the Air Force had a huge problem with labeling, so we went from like battlefield airmen to special operations to special warfare. So just for situational awareness, battlefield airmen was like special warfare. Special operations, you can't. So if you say special forces or special operations, really not all career fields are special operations, and special forces is Army. So it's kind of like a labeling thing. And then, so you have PJ, CCT, SR, and TACP. Those are your special warfare. So we have special operation enlistment. So they will go all the basic those are those 5 shift dates, all basic training together, 210 of them, and they go all the basic training together. They go special warfare prep, and that's 8 weeks. At week 6, they'll be like, all right, I want to be assessed for PJ or CCT. So it gives an opportunity for those individuals to actually learn about the different career fields and actually self-assess themselves on what they actually really want to do. Now, SEER and EOD are considered combat support, and we ship those throughout the whole year. And those are like, we might have like 4 or 5 in a quarter ship dates. So those are a little bit more common. So just a heads up, like when we say special warfare, we're really talking about, PJ, CCT, SR, and TACP, and then combat support is SEER and EOD. So just the terminology, because you could be a PJ and not even be special operations. Really what you could be is going to a rescue unit. So being in this type of career field, like in the special warfare recruiter, I learned so much just about the Air Force and how everything kind of mashes together, and about AFSOC and how we impact them. And that's that rewarding piece I keep coming back to. But as far as my zone goes, so like I said, I was, when I first started, I only had 1 flight, and that 1 flight only had 1 recruiter. So my first year, I pretty much had to put all the special warfare people that I found myself. And then a lot of them didn't work out. So I was like, hey, here's a body because this guy can't pass test. So that 1 year, I gave that individual like 10 bodies. And that's huge to give 1 EA person. Imagine, hey, here's 10 bodies. Now, you're doing well. Anyways, what happened is that 349th, we all came into the squadron together, and but we were all supposed to leave at 2 years. So if I didn't stay, there would be huge vacancies. But there was huge vacancy. So instead of like 1 zone, now I'm covering across 6 states. So it's kind of the exact same thing that happened is like I would go TDY once a week. Like Monday, I would come in. All right, this is what I got to do. Tuesday, I prepare. All right, you got a pass test. Get these people to the pass test, do all the paperwork, do the pass test. Thursday would be more like admin, and Friday would be tying things up for me. But I would pair those individuals up together. I wouldn't stress myself out all the time. I'll be like, all right, you group, you're together. And that's the reason why I kept talking about alpha. So if you can get somebody that's highly motivated, he's going to drag those rest of those team like together. Like they're just going to make the team better. And sometimes we'll go in waves. Like you'll have a really great month, and then it'll be like slow, and then it'll just pick back up. It's kind of like, just give it time, it will work itself out. So another question I saw in here about promotions.
Hey, really quick, Sergeant Hyder, before you move forward, I wanna hitchhike on what you said about your what you call your alphas. What EA you call your depth commanders, and what I call our team leads. That's what they're called on these special warfare teams. I want to really highlight the difference. If we haven't made it clear, the difference your depth involvement compared to EA. So I've been in NCOA the last 5 weeks, and I have 2 team leads. I have one for the northern region of my zone and the southern region. These 2 guys literally ran my entire program while I was gone. Like, people call me, hey, I'm interested in special warfare. I do a quick pre-qualification. The kind of candidates you're dealing with is completely different. Most of them have already done research. Like, I just need you. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm adding you to a group chat. Contact my team lead. He will take care of you from there. He tells them, this is where the workout is. This is what you wear. They ask questions about workouts. Here are workouts. Here is your pass sheet. I send the team lead this stuff like, yo, have everyone ready for the workout on Thursday, all paperwork and stuff. These are the type of responsibilities they're going to have in that pipeline. They're going to be put in those leadership positions. So during these 5 weeks at NCOA, like he would just hit me up every Friday, like, yeah, Sergeant Spencer, these 4 guys came out. This one needs some help with running. This one needs help with this. I gave him a good run program. He's gonna send me his run time on Tuesday, and he's gonna test on Thursday, and I'll send you the numbers. That's how deeply involved the delayed entry program is in special warfare. And I'm just sitting back like, hey, great job. So I just wanted to throw that in, Sergeant Hill, just before you went to the next question.
Yeah, thanks. So another thing to add to that is like when you like the caliber of people that we actually put in, like I would say about 20% all have college degrees. And I've even had a few master degrees that come in and they just want to serve. So like we do put people in for STO, CRO, and TAC-P officers, but at the exact same time, like there's a huge difference between them and going enlisted. So most common question I ask before they even get started, if they have a degree, is like, do you want to do the job or do you want to manage the job? And normally they want to do the job. So I said, all right, well, go enlist it, and then you always can, apply later. So I had a TAC PO that went through the process, and he wasn't selected because of his personality, and he was a prior service Green Beret. But every single person that went through for that selection got picked up as a TAC P. So, I mean, just kind of going through the process of everything, like highly motivated individuals, and it just inspires you to become better because they're putting everything on the line, and you just want to be part of that. And so I always bring it back home to, well, if I'm having a bad day because someone quit or something, I just try to put myself in those guys' shoes and girls' shoes about what they're going through and the mental fortitude that you need. Like this job is, no kidding, 80% mental and 20% physical, and you won't understand that until you kind of go through this process. So the question about promotion though is like we talked about, we have a larger zone, so we have more responsibility, and that's mirroring up with more MEPs. Like I've shipped people from 5 different MEPs this year. So different MEPs, different, ways on how they do things. So you got to kind of adapt. But you work with all the different EAs that are in your, in your AOR. So networking is huge. It's like you can't be a good special warfare recruiter unless you have a good relationship with EA. So I just want to put that out there. Like, we need you, you need us type thing. If we work together, it's a win-win situation. So, but
that actually brings up a question that that I had as well. Is how is that relationship with the EA recruiters? Because I know when I left EA, we would see right there at the end, we would see that this person is vetted for spec warfare. We would see that they would go through and do like either a PIR review or a review of our leads. And as EA, we're just like, get out of my bucket, bro. But so I don't know if maybe you just real quick, touch on that, as far as like how you, if there's like, if the accountability for the credit has changed or anything like that.
Yeah, for me,
You went on mute, I think.
Hey, Sergeant Hildreth, you're on. Sergeant Hildreth, you're on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good now. You're good.
Yeah, I had a phone call. So building relationships. So we go TDY, and we would meet the recruiters. The funny thing is, so I was part of the 349th, and I had I have better relationships with all the individuals in the 349th now than I did when I was actually a recruiter, like in the 349th. I think it's just because the relationship, like I tell them straight up, like, hey, I'm not going to add somebody that is not worth adding, because it doesn't help me, it doesn't help you, it doesn't help the individual. So we're in this together. So before they got the 2-for-1 credit, they understood that I have their best interest, I got their back, and they got my back. So, and then moving on, the people that did the right thing before it was even popular, you know, they became like #1 in group, and, you know, the squadron won all these awards and everything else because they already did the right thing before it was even popular. So hindsight for those individuals, it's just one team, one fight type thing. If you have that mindset and be like, hey, this is bigger than me, then it like I said, these things we do that others may live. So that's my take on it. But I don't have any issues with EA and working together as a team.
Yeah, I don't. I agree with them, and you have to realize your position too as a tier 2 recruiter is different. You know, like if need be, I'm just speaking to the flight chief, you know, or I'm speaking to the production super for whoever, you know, whatever squadron, you know, that I cover with issues. But I'm the same as Sergeant Hildreth. We joke about it as special warfare recruiters, but a lot of the times we feel like operators, not like calling an airstrike. I mean, like telephone operators, because people go to airforce.com, find a recruiter to look for a recruiter, and they see that button, interest in special warfare. They don't read it. They just know they want to be special, and they check it. So every single person, so Sergeant Hildreth says he covers 6 states. So every single person who wants to join the Air Force for 6 states who didn't take time to read that, their number is automatically going to come to Sergeant Hildreth. So I would say if I receive 20 phone calls a day, 15 of them are going to be people who have no interest in special warfare. They just hit that button. So I'm constantly giving leads to EA as well. So that relationship, we communicate on a daily basis, like hit this guy up. And because in reality, you got to think about the volume of business that you have, right? We have a new recruiter in our flat right now who just started his tier 2 of special warfare. He's like, I think my phone's broke. And it's like, what do you mean? He's like, I only got like 4 people call me today who wanted special warfare. I'm like, that sounds pretty good. Like, that's a pretty good day as a special warfare recruiter. Like, it's not EA anymore when you have 30 people calling you. And if they do, they're probably all really looking for an EA recruiter. So I'm the same as Sergeant Hildreth. Great working relationship with EA. And if you do have a problem with one, that may take you just visiting your EA office. Like, hey, bro or broette, let's go get lunch. Let me buy you a coffee. Let's just talk about the special warfare mission. And once I've done that, I haven't had any issues. What was that? I know we're running short. Do y'all have any other questions? Was there any in here that we missed?
Yeah, I got a quick question. So, you know, obviously, like EA is kind of like, you know, for the most part, they give you a laptop and a cell phone, slap you on the butt, and like, hey, go get it, like, figure it out. A little bit of training, right? But so my question is, so I've got a buddy. His name's Juwan Christian. He got out. He's separate. He's going to engineering school now. He's doing good things, but he was a special warfare recruiter for a little while, and he absolutely loved it. He was kind of going through it during the growing pains, and so he was like really stressed out all the time and whatnot, but he still loved it. But my question is, so obviously, like, you guys came off of EA and you were doing the whole EA thing. You probably had very limited information on, like, so you're kind of like you were saying, a lot of recruiters are like, oh yeah, you guys are going to go kill people and kill rabbits and whatever else. They ended up being instructors. So how do they vet you guys and teach you all the intricacies and all the details with all these different career fields?
So I work as a a shadow trainer right now in the squadron, so I'll speak on the training part. I know Christian. We sweat a lot together during these immersion courses, but that's the main answer. The immersion courses early on, when we actually started October 2017, right? Our official stand up was the summer of 2018, but we started October 2017, and at that point, I remember the general at the time saying the 330th is going to be a plane that we're going to fly now and build it as we're flying it. And I will admit, it was the wild, wild west. It was pretty much like, everyone go figure out how to do this. We didn't have a legit goal for, I think, the longest time. It was school visits, nothing was actually written down. And it was like, go figure out how to recruit special warfare people, how to train them, all this stuff. And it wasn't until about a year or so later we actually, put stuff in place. But to learn these career fields, it was the immersion courses. And these immersion courses, for y'all who were around back in 2017, 18, I think this is the biggest reason most people were like, definitely not doing special warfare recruiting. And we actually lost some people, who didn't want to do it anymore because of those. We had a commander, and we still do, who is a special tactics officer, which is the officer version of a combat controller. And he said to us, he's like, if you want to recruit these type of people, you need to know what type of grit, determination that it takes. So we went through miniature versions of these schools, the combat control school, the PJ school, survival school, like TAC-P. And we got like beat up pretty badly. Like, I remember to earn my SOAR tab, I was in a swamp in Florida, doing a workout from 10 o'clock at night till about 3 o'clock in the morning, just nonstop sweat and dirt. It was insane. That kind of stuff has really slowed down like a bunch because it scared a whole lot of people. But that's what we constantly do. Right before the coronavirus hit, I was in Washington to go watch a competition with hundreds of TAC-Ps. Before that, a couple months before that, we were at San Antonio to go learn about SEER and learn about EOD and actually speak to these people. So that's how we get our experience, not just reading the stuff. It's put us in the situation and put these operators in front of us. Sergeant Rosa, Hildreth, if you have anything to add to that?
Yeah. So kind of what Sergeant Spencer was saying, initially, we're part of that pioneer group where we started, while the plane was flying, right? I think one of my favorite courses that we went through was when they had us go to, at the time it was called BA prep course, but it's special warfare prep course. So pretty much that's the course where a lot of the special warfare candidates go to kind of get stronger, faster, and they have all this technology, right? So they had all the recruiters there for a week. And I remember the first day we had to do a pass test. So, a little secret I never mentioned to anybody, but I was taking swim lessons before I went there. I mean, I was doing a lot of different things to kind of prepare for that week. So, I remember the first day we had a pass test, right? So we're swimming, we had to do 500 meters, and I'm on like lap 2. So lap 2, I have my goggles, and suddenly I see like half of the pool getting out of the pool, right? Half of the pool, all the recruiters, the majority getting out of the pool. I think Spencer was there too. And I got to the wall, and I thought about giving up myself. And there was this, he's actually a recruiter now, but his name is Technical Sergeant Thomas or Tomas. He's like, hey, Sergeant Rosa, are you gonna give up? Right? He was a cadre there. And I'm like, no, sir, one more lap. So to cut the story short is I kept swimming until they pretty much, it was me and another recruiter named Sergeant Peterson. We kept swimming to the end. So they ended up pulling us out.
I got out of that pool because they were about to let me die. He was standing there watching me drown. And I was like, yo, this dude's going to let me drown right now, I feel like.
So anyway, they ended up giving me and Sergeant Peterson a shout out, right? And one of the things they said is, hey, we're not always looking for the best swimmers or the best athletes or whatever, we're just looking for people that have the grit to just keep pushing through, right? So when you think about these career fields, right, and where they're going and what they're going to be doing, you know, they can face a situation where, you know, they have to have that attitude of not giving up, right? Because it could be, you know, it could be their lives, or it could be their teammates' lives, or it could be, you know, whoever. So it hit home there. That day it hit home. And then for that rest of that week, I was super motivated. I did everything they wanted me to do. I was in there, snorkel recovery, this, that, whatever. So, but that was cool. So I think now, I think they still kind of do it, but a modified version of it. You know, of course, with COVID right now, I don't know what they've been doing lately for the new recruiters, but there is some type of immersion for new recruiters, but it's actually really fun, man. I think it's a lot of people get scared of it, but it's not that scary.
Yeah. So for me, the exact same training that you guys went to, I was there too. And so water confidence and everything else. But the time that I was one of those skeptical people, like I was always good at recruiting special warfare, but at the exact same time, I was like, well, I'm a recruiter. What am I doing here? Like, I think that was a common thing with all of us. Like, they would, you know, wake us up early in the morning, we put rucks on, and we would go ruck. We don't know when we begin and when we end. And then Sergeant Rob Gutierrez, Air Force Cross recipient, was out there rucking with us. And he was right beside me talking to me, you know, just carrying on a conversation. And then later on, you know, we would get in these mud pits and things like that. And I look back on my life and I'm like, my highlight of my career is doing things with, you know, what we did together as a team. And that's what I tell my guys is like, I had the wrong mindset. I had the wrong attitude. I had to change it. I had to reevaluate myself. And I tell my applicants that are candidates that are going through this process, no matter what you do, no one can take away from you becoming a better version of yourself when you go through this process. And that's what I take away from special warfare recruiting. So I take what I learned and I try to apply it to my applicants, and like, no matter what, you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I gave it all I got. And that's the reason why I enjoy what I do.
Hey, and what Sergeant Hill just said, I mean, I was really the same way. I'm like this guy's trying to turn me. When I was in the pool, like I couldn't even swim at the time. And I remember I was like, we were supposed to be doing underwater swimming in the pool, and I was walking on the edge. And this guy, he said, there ain't gonna be a bottom when you're in the ocean. I said, and that's why I'm a recruiter, not an operator. And I kept walking across the pool. So I was really mad in the moment, but I really understood. It taught me so much when I'm training these guys here and I'm developing people, because that dude in the moment, he said that just to get in my head and to frustrate me. And believe me, I was super frustrated at that one comment. But when I have people here in my development program get mad at little words, I'm like, if I can get in your head that easily and frustrate you and fluster you, you have no idea what's coming for you. But I saw it like that, and I don't want people worried. I hear it all the time from the EA recruiters here. I'm not going to 330th. I just want to recruit. I don't want to do all that crazy stuff. Listen, that's like once or twice a year, and it is very different from what it was in 2017 and 2018. It's more like, hey, voluntary. Do you want to participate? And this is a chance for you to. It's a learning experience. I think we only have 3 minutes left. Let's go on to 12, Sergeant Reed.
Yeah. So we're not super strict on 11. We don't want to run too far over. I think we had 2 more questions that I just kind of want to mesh together. If we can just get like a quick overview on them. One of them is they asked about promotion. So go a little bit into, I guess kind of the diversity of, bullets that you can put on your EPR. And then also we had a question about what type of equipment y'all are afforded, whether that comes from the squadron to assist with like workouts, anything like that. But I think y'all hit on that, about like getting getting with gyms or, whatever the case is. But yeah, if you can kind of speak to the promotion piece and then the workout gear and stuff like that, and then we'll kind of close down.
For the workout gear, we are able to give our applicants, if they pass the swim, actual fins and mask. So, I mean, that's another thing I sell against the Navy. I was like, we're trying to prepare you, get you prepared as best possible before you go. So we're going to give you some of that equipment. As far as us, as we have pull-up bars and, but normally the developer is the one that guides the equipment and stuff. The only difference would be part of the mask and fins that we give people. We don't really focus on rucking or anything like that. Just have a strong core before you go. Promotion, I could tell you my story. I'm kind of embarrassed to talk about it. I don't really like talking about that much. But so I missed tech like 3 times in a row by like less than 2 points. And I was actually step promoted in the 330th. So so far for me, it was beneficial. I would say we have a very high percentage of people actually that get promoted. I think it's just because our scope is different, / it was one of the, the Air Force Chief of Staff's directive to even stand that up in the first place. So we're just, doing what he asked us to do. But it's just one of those things that when you start getting to these type of career field and you do this and you're all in, that promotion stuff kind of goes away. That's the reason why I did tier 2, because I was like, hey, it might hurt me, but at the exact same time, I just believe in what I do. Like I don't really care about it as much, but at the exact same time, it has helped me. So that's just my experience. But yeah, a lot of people do get promoted in the 330th.
Yeah, I care about promotion. I'll say it. I want to get promoted. I'll give you just a straight up honest answer. Recruiting in special warfare, promoting in special warfare is still promoting in AFRS. All of us are in AFRS. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. You're dealing with a lot of smart people, and with special warfare, especially when we stood up, it was, I think, 80% of our squadron were gold badge recipients. So you get in the cream of the crop and competing against them. But when it comes to the opportunities, Sergeant Hillsworth used the word scope. Your AOR is so big and the possibilities are so big. There's more opportunities to create opportunities, right? You're not just limited to school visits, the local job fair, and so. Your ability to link up with the Florida National Athletic Association and get Big Air Force to sponsor their yearly whatever, or get some PJs to link up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or I'm trying to get some PJs for the Super Bowl that we're having this year to come and freaking deliver our flag. That's the type of scope that we work with being a part of this squadron. So when it comes to promotion, I'm not going to sit here and tell you just because you do it, just like any tier 2 job, OA, JAG, whatever, it's not going to be a leg up on you getting promoted. But you have more windows of opportunity for you. Whether you take them or not is on you.
Yeah, that's so that's pretty common, as we've seen all week, as far as tier 2 positions. There's a lot of, and this is a takeaway for any EA recruiter that's on, is there's a ton of opportunities and a lot more big picture opportunities in, whether you're officer sessions or, especially, from what it sounds like in special warfare, some really heavy hitting opportunities to kind of, do things outside the box and not that you're doing anything just for the recognition, because, from everything that Sergeant Hildreth said, it even gives me a new perspective, and my outlook has changed on the special warfare, career field, from everything that Sergeant Rosa, Sergeant Hildreth, and Sergeant Spencer has said. Definitely gives me a different appreciation for, for that type of recruiting. And I want to thank, all three of you for taking the time. I know y'all are super busy, huge AORs and stuff like that. So thank you so much for, sharing your perspective. I hope everybody got to, ask the questions that they wanted to ask, because again, I was one of those guys, coming from EA, that was like, absolutely not. I'm not listing, spec warfare recruiting, on my MOI, because I can't do it. But it does. I mean, that's why this perspective is so valuable, because it is so different from, just on the bag EA, everything from the ship days to the way that you prospect to the relationships that you have with, with your candidates or your depth. It's completely different. And so for EA, it's really difficult to see that, and it's really difficult to think outside of that EA mentality. So, again, awesome perspective, from all three of you. Thank you again. As far as everybody else that is on, and they're putting a lot of good information there in the chat. So, if you want to follow these guys on Instagram, they're putting their emails out there. So definitely get with these guys, because that's another reason why, Tier to Tier has put this together, is, for y'all to have, put a face with the name, and to just understand that these guys are a wealth of knowledge that are, that are willing to help you. That's the whole reason why this, the Tier to Tier organization was created, is for, recruiters to help recruiters. You shouldn't feel like, any type of nervousness or anything when reaching out, because we've all been, we all came from the same place. Everybody branched out from, from EA and stuff. And so, everybody that's taking time to jump on the call just wants to help. But, so tomorrow is the last day. For the Tier to Tier briefings. Tomorrow should be, another interesting day. We have Master Sergeant Burgess coming on from Schoolhouse. So he's going to talk a little bit about, what it takes to qualify to be a Schoolhouse instructor there at the recruiting schoolhouse. We may have a recruiting school class on, so that will be pretty cool, if they're able to jump on. But he said he's going to have some instructors. So if you're wondering, maybe what's the day-to-day, what's the schedule like for, for a recruiting schoolhouse instructor, definitely be a good opportunity for you to jump on for that. We also have RSL, or Recruiter Police, which, yesterday, as we were signing off, I was like, nobody really knows, the ins and outs of what RSL does, other than they just call you sometimes after your kid went to basic and was just like, yo, did you lie to this guy? Or did you tell him to lie? So there's a lot more, that goes into RSL. So I'm really excited to, hear their perspective on that. And then again, even though classifications is going away as, as an active duty position, we should have a guy from classification. So for anybody that is wondering, how that whole process works, even if it is just informative for you to take back to your applicants to be able to explain to them a little bit better what the process is like, definitely a good opportunity as well. So again, for me, Tech Sergeant Reed, Tier to Tier with Tech Sergeant Mitchell, Master Sergeant Prouty, and Tech Sergeant Jones. I appreciate everybody taking the time to jump on today. Shoot us emails, whatever it is, but hopefully we'll see everybody back for the last day tomorrow with everything. So that's all I got. Thank you.